Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on this channel, Rudy's Rhythm and Rhyme. I'm always happy to have you. A special thank you to all of you who have been following my poetry, who have been supporting, who have been encouraging, leaving comments, leaving reviews. I'm very grateful for everything. Today we are going to be looking at something a little different. It's still poetry, but we are going to be looking more at understanding what I am doing here on the channel. And I know I had mentioned that much of what I want to do with this channel is celebrate African literary arts, that is poetry, spoken word to be precise, since that is my area of interest. Yeah. So I just want us to understand what specifically is spoken word poetry. And this is not a lecture, and it's going to be in a little different way than you would expect. So let's just see how it rolls. All right, so what is poetry? Poetry, by the way, for those of you who don't know me, I am Rudy Moore 4, and I am a jurist and a spoken word artist. Thank you. So what is poetry? Poetry is a branch of literature which uses verse, often rhyme or rhythm, and other qualities of language to express emotion and meaning. And written poetry is what we commonly know, that is poetry expressed in written form. So spoken word poetry is just the other form of written poetry. So it is poetry expressed through vocal means, which is often with the use of stronger emotions, mannerisms, gestures to bring about or to bring more meaning to the words and to have your audience more engaged or more connected to what you're saying. So these are not strictly dictionary definitions, but they're just understandings of what you would have as you see or as you go through poetry in general. So I just jotted down some of these things from my own understanding to share with you. And you'd also have heard about slam poetry. Slam poetry basically is spoken word poetry, but it's also performed obviously in front of an audience, but usually it has judges and it involves more of a competition between performers. Sometimes also you would wonder the relationship between rap and spoken word. So rap is also a form of spoken word, even though it's on its own, it stands on its own. But rap is a form of spoken word. Both are structured more or less in the same kind of way, but rap mostly has to follow rhyme, and it's played to follow musical beats. Meanwhile, spoken word doesn't necessarily need to rhyme or follow a musical pattern. In fact, most spoken word artists would usually write the poem before probably thinking of putting some music at the background. Yes, so yeah, that's kind of the difference in it. Also, you would probably have heard of griot. Griot is, a griot, griot is someone who is a poet. They're musicians and storytellers, and it's particularly from West Africa. In Cameroon, we have a griot hub, yes, in Boya, so where many of these performing artists in spoken word and poetry in general come and share their ideas and also have beautiful performances for the public. Yeah, so a griot is one who is a poet, a musician, a storyteller, who travels around telling their history and traditions of their society through their oral performances. It mostly originated from the ancient Malian Empire around the 13th century, for our history students. And so a female griot is usually called Jelimuso or Jalimuso. So muso means woman. So a female griot is a Jelimuso. Okay, That said, I would share with you a few spoken word artists that I know, most of whom I follow in one way or another. I've seen their work, but this is not an exhaustive list. You can always find many more spoken word artists whom you would love and whom you would like to learn from. And the list of those I would give here, I would also put it at the end of this video, so you can always watch till the end and see. The list of those I'm putting here are of African descent, like they are from Africa, not Black Americans, because I'm trying to also promote African poetry. Yeah. So this is in no particular order, and if I've left out any particular name, don't penalize me for it. You can always mention it in the comments for others who would want to learn. So first, still in no particular order, you have yours faithfully, Rudy. So you can always follow some of my poetry performances. And then you have Cynthia Amoa. She's Ghanaian American. You have Titilope Sonuga. She's Nigerian Canadian. There's Boris Taliabon. He's Cameroonian, and in fact, you should check out Stage Life Poetry. Stage Life Poetry troupe. They perform amazing Afro poetry. They are a Cameroonian troupe. You have Tuli Zuma from South Africa. There's DK Chukwumerije, Nigerian. Safia El Hilo, Sudanese American. Emitita Mahmoud, Sudanese. Koleka Putuma, South African. There is Jean-Stéphane Mebonde, he is Cameroonian. Oui, pour ceux qui sont francophones, vous pouvez le suivre sur l'internet. Même aussi pour ceux qui sont anglophones, vous pouvez le aussi suivre, juste pour avoir une perspective différente de ce que nous faisons en tant que artiste de la poésie orale. Donc, j'avoue que je ne connais pas beaucoup d'artistes francophones qui font le spoken word poetry, la poésie orale, mais je sais qu'il y a beaucoup d'autres personnes que vous pouvez suivre sur l'internet, d'autres pas. Ok, donc je vais faire un truc. C'est juste une pièce, quelque chose que j'ai rédigé à la dernière minute. Ok. La poésie orale, le désir de m'exprimer, la grandeur dont j'avais rêvé, tout un style, toute une phrase encombrée, mêlée, entamée. Toutes mes idées, elles me les laissent pousser avec toute créativité, sans aucun besoin de faire couler trop de mots, ma grande place déverser ce que je souhaite contempler et puis vous faire interpréter de façon dont vous voulez. What is spoken word poetry but the thoughts you once had? The desire to use words, emotions, and style in the luxury of rhythm and rhyme, which sometimes you may not find, but still that's just fine. No strict rules for its free verse, a chance for you to explore your mind in no strict sense. You decide. Stories, expressions of aspirations, voiced in a mixture of rap, jazz, makossa, rumba, bikutsi, amapiano, coupé de singele, high life. You choose your style. Just make sure to bring up some irony, sarcasm, alliteration, and a beautiful device of your choice to keep us on the grind. Yes, you too can try. And while you get us inspired, we'll endeavor to follow and do you proud. J'espère que vous l'avez aimé. I'd always be happy to receive recommendations of poems you would want me to write and perform. Okay, vous pouvez donner vos recommandations à propos de ce que vous aimeriez que je rédige et que je fasse une performance. Oui. Okay, this is the end of the little I had for you today. Those of you who are willing to do spoken word poetry or to write poetry, please go ahead and do it. You'll be amazed at the beautiful things you can do when you just connect to yourself. So again, I would leave the names of some of the spoken word poets that I have followed and watched and on social media, so you can always do same if you want to get entertained or inspired or just anything. Feel free to make your recommendations and follow this rhythm and rhyme. Thank you very much.